Okay, so I'm back. I had to leave earlier, but now I'm here and I can actually sit here and work on this. So I guess what I got to start with is obviously I'll get this first piece of micarta. I think I'm going to start off with probably the right one. The right handle might be a little easier to start with. So this one's going to require this piece here, and it's going to be this one. So I have all these cleaned up to where I wanted them to. And all these should just fit right back together. Maybe. Yeah, it just kind of squeezes in. Nice and flush. These Flytanium scales are very well made, and they're very easy to slide back in there. And I actually don't think this is the right one, because this one doesn't have any of the... I don't think this is the right one I wanted. Yeah, this is the other one I wanted, because this has the markings from the brass washers. I want to get them at least pretty similar. So we got that one there. And then we will get this back spacer in. That'll feed in this hole and that hole. It sits like this. It's nice and flush right there. And all of these handles do come in different colors. I think this one is sold out, this color. This is the natural micarta. So then we need a brass washer. Let me get a little napkin. Clean these off again, just to do a little better job cleaning them. I just want to get them nice and clean before I put them back on there. So this one's going to just sit right on top of that. Looks pretty lined up. And then what's next? It's going to do, the blade will need to go in next. So I got my S30 blade. And you know what? This is where the pivot tool is going to come in. So I'm just going to slide it through here. It slides all the way through like that. Get one washer. I should probably do a little bit of oil on the blade. I would think I just got a little bit of this gun oil. This is what I normally used on my case knives. Can't imagine this needs very much, but I'm just going to put some right around. That's probably even too much, but I'll do it on the other side where I'll put the washer in first. It's probably too much on there, but that'll be okay. So I got that right there. And then I'll get my pivot tool, slide that through. It does just kind of feed through. And then I will get the other washer on there. Get a little oil on this side. A little less than last time. A couple dabs. And then put the washer back right there. And then I'll feed all this back through. How about I just clean around this now that I got the pivot on there. Just want a little bit of oil under those washers just to keep it nice and lubricated. Don't want too much on there though. Then it'll just build up more debris. I'll get these cleaned up and we can see where we're standing. Alright, so I got both washers through on this. So I'm just gonna feed it all the way through again. I got this liner here. I'm just gonna feed it all the way through. Should feed through. Okay, there's that. There's one side. The back spacer came off, but I can worry about that in a second. And then here is probably, I messed up something, because these need to go on there too. Okay, I gotta take this scale off. Don't judge, this is my first time doing this. So, I'm not a professional yet. This gotta go through here. And this might be the wrong side. So if it's like that, it needs to sit inside. Let me figure out how to get this Omega spring back in, and I will be right back, because I'm confusing myself. Okay, so I think I at least have it on this side, but I still need to get this pivot around. So I have the pivot tool through, and I need to do the scale through here to make sure I have it all correct, because then that encloses that axis and then it pulls down like that. So this is correct. I got the axis, I got the Omega spring on the inside here, enclosed, but this is still outside while I have the pivot tool through. So then I need to get the other one and slide that here. Clean this off. Don't want any more gunk on there. And then I have the other washer already on there with some oil on the blade side. Then this might be a pain in the butt. I'm going to go ahead and just do it without the scale. It's going to make it a lot easier without the scale. So it's going to feed through, and really I have to pull down the axis lock. I will take this out too, because this is going to hinder that. Take this out. I'll just drop the blade in there in a second, because I have to get this side on first. Okay, I gotta take this scale off again and have this, that spring's there. I have to put these back to normal with these springs on the outside. I guess I just need to take this whole spring off of it first, just like that. Feed it through, in, and over, like that. I have the spring still in place over here. And then I will put this spring, let me clean this off too. All right, so then I think I got it now. Then it just clicks into the spot there. Pull these apart. Hopefully. All right, pull these apart, get them all the way separated. And now they should be ready to put the blade back in between. Maybe. Get these far apart. Slide these. Hold on. Okay, so I'm back. This was a lot more complicated than I was expecting it to be. So I have the blade in there, and you can see the bronze washers in between the liner here. I have both axis locks in, and they both work accordingly. The springs are doing their jobs. I have one scale on just to keep it all somewhat contained. And while I have this scale off, I will do a little bit of work. I'm going to put this back spacer in where it should be and get these screws tightened down so I can go ahead and get those in. And don't worry, I will put all the Loctite needed on these after the fact. I just want to show y'all how to do this, even though if I can figure it out, y'all can as well, because I haven't watched any videos. You know, I've just been kind of eyeballing everything. I've been doing it all by myself. And it was a lot harder than it looked, just because it's very tedious to do. All the little screws and the whole liner right here with the axis lock is kind of complex. Not the funnest thing to deal with. So I have the backspacer on there. You can see this is nice and flush. Should be flush. Looks pretty flush to me. Then I'm going to feed this back through here. Get that liner back there. I want to go ahead and screw down the liner as well, because that'll help it kind of stay in position, just to keep it where it needs to be. Okay, and then we also need to put the blade stop, because when you open the knife, you don't want it. Of course, the thumb studs stop that, but you can see that it overextends a little too much. So I will put that blade stop, which, now that I'm looking at it, the blade stop was supposed to go in there. Dang it. Okay, hold on, I'll be back again. Okay, so I think I have it mostly figured out. With the Benchmade hardware, it is flat right here, and this tool is made to fit all the way through that. And with this being so stubborn, I had to completely take this back off just so I could get that blade stopper right back in there, and then put the scales back on completely. But now that I have all this back together, it's going to work best when I put this scale back on normal. It just fits just like the other one. All of it's going to fit back together nicely once I get all of this put back in. And then right here, this will sit. Should be sat back in there. You can see that it's kind of flat, so I'm just getting my knife and just pushing it down in there, just so this will screw in quickly. Now you can see all the way through that, it's nice and flush. All this is flush. Only thing left is these two screws in the back for the spacer. And I have those here. Get these screwed back in as well. Don't know why this screw's not going down in there. What am I doing wrong? I should have the right hardware. All these screws are the same. Hold on, let me get this back in there and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've ran into an issue. The back spacers are supposed to have these little metal pins that go through it, but seemingly they are either, they should be the same size. They're the same size, but one ended up being shorter than the other. They got stuck in there. And now you can see one side's longer than the other. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that, but the screws just don't go down as far as they should be. You can see that there's a little dip in the micarta there. So maybe if I just drop it in there, it should, yeah, right there, it's more flush. You can see that it's more even, kind of, compared to this side, which this side's just not even at all. Okay, what does that look like? So that looks pretty even on both sides. So I'm gonna try putting it back together again. I've had to take out the blade just so all of this kind of goes back to normal. And once I get all the scales and it all screwed back, it should all pretty much go back to normal. These kind of just sit. They were stuck in there until I started messing with it, and now it's came loose. So they do squeeze in on both sides. So I guess I will try it again and see if I can get these to go back how I need them to. But for some reason, they're just not threading in all the way. So that one's normal. And then this one should be normal. But when I got to the other side, it just wasn't working how it should have. See, it kind of just pushes through, but as long as there's should be able, because that screws in nicely, but then you can see it looks to me, well, maybe not. Get that level. I'm gonna throw this back on there. And hope that these work how they should. Get that back there. So you can see that these are pretty deep threads. And the screws just don't want to... Well, there it goes, finally. They were not working earlier. Okay, so now that's there. I get this pushed in like that. Make sure everything's kind of flush, even though this keeps jumping out of its spot before I screw that down. Work with me. See, the springs kind of just have some tension on there. If I have it like this, it kind of works a little better. I need to go ahead and put this screw in here. Oh Lord, it's gone down in there. Okay, about got lost. So I'm gonna screw the blade stop there, and then this is the screw that keeps the liner on the scale. And we have a complete handle. All the screws are in their correct spots. The back spacer is in the correct spot. So now we have to do the fun part, putting the liner back in to the knife. Move all this so I can get it back how I want it. I do have I got the washers here. These are the barrel spacers. I don't need the 2 barrel spacers, but this is the pivot screw, and then here is the pivot. And there's the back, there's the pocket clip, of course. So we shall try this. Again, I got the washers there. They're kind of just stuck there with that little bit of oil I had on it. So hopefully these should just slide right in. The washer did move just slightly. So I'm gonna get this other blade and see if I can maybe get it back even. Okay, so now let's see. And like I said, this side is flat, and then on the blade itself, there's a flat side and then just a round side. So I do just have to wiggle this through and see where it wants to kind of glide in. It doesn't really. So let's see. I really don't know how the blade centering works, but you can see that it is centered because that pivot is mimicking the actual pivot. So now, all the way through, you can see that it is centered. So let's try to weasel that actual pivot back in. So I'm pretty sure this just slides on like that, and then it will just push in accordingly. I think it has to be in the right, because these are flat on one side as well. I need it to work the same way. Well, no, these are completely round. So let's just try to mash that in one way or another, maybe. I know this is a really long video, but I want to be relatively transparent and show y'all that this is not a very fun process, but I think it will be rather worth it. all things considered. I probably shouldn't have pulled that out, should I? Now everything's out of whack again. Okay. I think I'm doing this right. I think it's supposed to just follow it through, because this side is flat right there. You can see kind of that, I don't know if you can see that or not, but the pivot itself is flat. Yeah, you can see where it's flat right there. And I'm trying to get it, you know, lined up. And it's just not going in there for some reason. Maybe the washers are getting out of place. That's what's causing the issue. All right, so that's where it's supposed to be. And then put the pivot there. The pivot doesn't even want to. Let me see if I can see if it will just go through anyways. Hold on, let me get this pivot through and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the pivot ready to go in. So now I gotta get the blade back through, and the washers just keep moving when I'm doing it. So it's just not wanting to line up just correctly. If I can get this kind of through everything, it should work its way in, but I guess I just need to take that out. Don't cut myself. I guess I can close the knife, and that might make it a little safer, won't it? So now the washers are out of whack again. Of course they are. Sorry, I'll be back. This is driving me nuts. Okay, so hopefully I got the pivot ready, and it is supposed to be kind of flat back here. So this is, there we go. It's wanting to work through, and I think it wants to, but let's see how that's going. It wants to come. There it is. Fired that right out at me. So now we got the pivot screw, and we got that there. And now we can just tighten this down. Got to make sure this goes all the way through. Blade centered. Make sure this pivot's snapped in. And then we can finish this very tedious process. Blade centered correctly. Micarta handles are on the mini Bugout. See that action? No blade wobble. There's a little bit. I can tighten that down. Axis lock works good. Let's check that out. Very good action. It is stiff on the close, so I might just have to play with it and see how to tinker to make it, you know, have the action I want. But this does feel very light. Of course, you have the action's okay. It's just not to my standards yet. But very snappy action on the flick, but it is kind of stiff here. So, interesting handles. It does have a, I think it's more, this is more of a linen feel micarta, so it's nice and smooth. It does just feel like, kind of feel like cardboard, if you want me to be honest. It's kind of how, just like a good, how cardboard feels. But good snappy action. Finger smooth. I just got to put the pocket clip back on, and I can do that right now. Just go ahead and put the clip on it. Should go on easy. And then after all this, I do have to put on some Loctite so it doesn't fall apart on me later. But that won't be too difficult now that I know how to get everything to where I need it to be. And y'all could just skip around on this video. I know it's going to be a very long video, but just thank y'all for watching to the end if y'all did. Glad y'all can, you know, appreciate the final product. Clips on there good. Smooth action, smooth closing. I do just need to maybe tweak that lock a little bit, but it closes pretty well. Blade centered. Got that backspacer on there. So, that's the end of the video. I know it was a long one. Thank y'all for, you know, pushing through with me. This was tedious for me. Something I've never done before. And it is quite different. I do like this. I'm hoping this one will develop a patina. Maybe become a little oranger or more red on the micarta. Kind of this color, but on the entire knife. That's my hope. That's my goal. So thank y'all for watching today's video. Shout out to Flytanium for selling these to me, because these are very nice. They also sell a bunch of other materials, but this will give my mini Bugout some character, give it some life. And I did want to weigh this, so hold on one second, I'll be back. Alright, so the new weight is 46 grams and 1.6 ounces. So it got just a tad bit heavier, but it is not noticeable at all. Just the material itself does make it even feel lighter than it really is, just because the micarta just feels very light. It's a very solid material. There's no really play in it. It's just a good, solid material. So, make sure y'all leave any thoughts and comments down below. And thank y'all for watching. Y'all have a great night. Bye.